And what is my mother going to do? She has to think of a way to see us grow up and to see that we become good human beings, and that we survive and that we make something out of ourselves.
And so I remember my mom always being there, always providing, and she literally took over the household because my dad was
Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Frank Iñiguez and I am the ambassador of reading, and today's topic is a beautiful topic. It's about your mama. Yeah, that's right. It's Mother's Day, and that is why we have a special guest. Guess what? The mother of my children, my wife, Paula Iñiguez. Go ahead and say hello.
Oh, hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Frank's channel, and I want to thank you for tuning in to his YouTube channel. And this is actually, I've been in videos here and there, but this is the actual official time that I'm here, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. So thank you.
And so we're gonna talk about mothers. I'm gonna tell you the story of my mother. Then she's gonna tell you the story of her mother, and then she gets to share, or we get to share, the story of her becoming a mother. And it's gonna be so exciting, guys, because look, let me tell you, your chances of being here are like trillions to one. And for you to, I don't know if you acknowledge your mom, because as I was growing up, I remember kids would be embarrassed. Oh, my mother's too fat or too skinny or too tall, too short, doesn't speak English, doesn't speak Spanish, and so on and so forth. And kids wouldn't be proud of their moms. However, if you think about it, your chances of being born were like tiny, tiny, tiny. And then your mama decided to have you or not have you. Just that alone is enough to go back and hug her and kiss her and say, thank you for choosing to have me. Thank you for allowing me to be here in this beautiful planet. That's enough to say thank you, Mom. Thank you so, so much. So anyway, let's start with my mom. I'm gonna start with the story with my mom, and then I'm gonna introduce you so you can say the story of your mom.
My mom.
Yeah, your mama, and then first my mama, then your mom, and then their mama. Okay, so check it out. My mom, I'm so grateful to my mom. She had 9 kids, and I've said it in previous videos where my father died when I was 2. Imagine, 2. And what is my mother gonna do? She has to think of a way to see us grow up and to see that we become good human beings, that we survive and that we make something out of ourselves. Now, she could have just said, well, my husband's dead and I don't know what we're gonna do with his kids, and I guess you take that one and you take that one. And she chose otherwise. She said, you know what? I'm gonna go find a better way of life in the United States. So look, my mother had to cross the border illegally to get here. She had to risk her life to get here. And when she left us back in Mexico, she left us with 3 of our aunts. 3 ladies helping ladies raising these kids. Now, every time she felt that she needed to go see us and be with us and let us know that she's okay, that she loves us, she would have to risk her life. What other human being does that, man? She'd go back and make sure that we were okay and then come back and then continue to work. And eventually she got to the point that said, let me take the big risk of bringing my children with me and allowing them to grow with me by my side and give them the best life possible. That's the story of my mom. And I bet if you went and looked into your mom and find out the stories that she had to go through to have you and to bring you here, you're probably gonna appreciate her a lot more. Just having a mom is huge. Imagine, she could have chosen not to have you. And then it takes trillions of possibilities for you to be here, and you made it. That's enough to go say, thank you, Mom, I love you. That's the story of my mom. Now the story of her mom.
Yes, I come from a family of 12. My mom and my dad had 12 kids, and I am the last one of the 12. I was the lucky one and the blessed one that actually was named after my mom, Paula. And so yes, so my mom is from Jalisco, my dad from Nayarit, and they met over there. So I mean, like, I can say my mom was a great mother ever since back then that I remember. In Jalisco, my dad came over here to work, and she was literally left over there with all my siblings, and my mom was just she became not knowing that she became an entrepreneur. You know, back then, because I remember my dad would send her money, but she would find ways to make other money so that she can, you know, always have an abundance to provide for all of us. So my mom, she started
Bagging spices.
bagging spices. Yes, she started bagging spices, and she would send off my brothers to go and sell around the neighborhood. And that was back there in Jalisco, Nayarit. And then my mom, we moved to Tijuana, and that's when the last 5 were born. And even there, she would sew, you know, for people. She would sew dresses and other stuff that people needed for her to sew. And she also made chorizo. If you guys like chorizo, she also made chorizo, and she had my sister homemade chorizo. That's right. She had we actually just came across the machine at my mom's house after 40 years. It's there, and said she would make chorizo, and she would send my sisters and brothers to sell. And so I remember my mom always being there, always providing, and she literally took over the household, because my dad was on the other side working so he could send money to her. And then after that, in Tijuana, we moved over to Ensenada. My mom, we moved over there. She's like, what are we going to do now? So she bought a grocery store named La Parra, but it was never called La Parra because there were so many of us sisters. We were all sisters. They would call it, vamos a la tienda de las Lopez. Let's go to the store of the Lopez's, because there was all sisters.
Well, imagine,
so
10 beautiful girls?
Yes.
10 beautiful girls. Of course, it was going to be called Las Lopez store, of course.
Yes, and beautiful. So, you know, I lived a beautiful life because of what my mom did. She was very hardworking, and as of now, all of my sisters, we're all very hardworking. We also all entrepreneurs. We sell stuff here and there, but, you know, I lived a very good life. I was very blessed, because my mom was very, very hardworking. And I remember being maybe a very, very the popular girl in school, because, you know, since we had the grocery store, and then I would say, okay, Mom, see you, I'm going to school. And I was little, so she had a whole bunch of jars of just a lot of candy. So, okay, Mom, I'll see you later. And then before I leave, I would grab, you know, a bunch of candy, cookies, whatever, and I would take them to school, and I would pass it around to school, and I became the popular girl because I always pass out candy. So that's just to say that, you know, I was very blessed and very fortunate to have a mother like my mom that was very, very hardworking. And, you know, all our sisters are like that too. So I'm very, very proud of my family, and to say that I had a very good role model as a mom.
And you know, maybe you started the phrase, "Who took the cookies from the cookie jar?" Patsy. Yeah, maybe she started. We don't know. It's been so long.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they started the whole thing. Hey, who took the cookies from the cookie jar? Pat. Yeah, and you know what? But the emphasis I want to make is that her mother would stay in Mexico, and her father would come here, and they would support each other. They were playing as one team.
Yes.
Okay, no, you carry on. You know the story better.
Very special story. So when we were in Ensenada, my dad says, okay, now I'm gonna bring you over to LA, the United States, because I want to have my family with me. And so my dad said, okay, I'm gonna start looking for a little apartment so that, you know, I can bring all of you over, blah, blah. And my mom says, what? An apartment building? You're kidding me. I'm not gonna take my kids to an apartment building and have them, you know, be upstairs or whatever, downstairs, locked up, and they cannot go and play outside because the landlord's gonna be upset because they did this, they did that. He goes, oh no, I'm not doing that. If we are gonna move over to the United States, you're gonna buy us a house. And my dad is like, what? What do you mean a house? He didn't have the means to buy a house. He goes, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna? He goes, you go find the house, and when you find it, you let me know. And yes, eventually my dad did find a house, a duplex with a little house, a house in the front. And then he says, okay, Paula, I have the house. What are we gonna do now? How much do you need? How much deposit are they asking? This much. Okay, no problem. Here it is. And my mom had the money ready because she, not only was she hardworking, but she knew that she had to save that money for, you know, our future. So, I mean, that's just a lot to say about who my mother was.
And they did the paperwork. They did come over to the United States with proper paperwork.
Yes.
My mother, she was a risk taker. She was like, well, I don't know how to do it, but I know if I cross this way, I'll find a way to cross my kids over. And, you know, we met up here. So the story, mothers, it's about your mom. You know how I called the video Your Mama? It's about your mama. What has your mother done for you? I bet you there's a beautiful story. And if there's no beautiful story that she can think of, Come on, you're born, you're here, you're alive. A mother brought you to this planet. Go hug her and love her. Now, that's the story, the way they got their house. We come over to the United States, and I think we started off in an apartment, and then my mother realized we're not going to fit in the apartment. Let me go get a house. So she rented a house, and she had to tell the landlord, "Oh yeah, I have 3 or 4 kids." And the landlord's like, "Okay, well, 3 or 4 kids." And every time it was first of the month, we knew the landlord was coming. Guess what? Hide. So we're all hide. And my mother said, "Enough! I don't want to live like this anymore." So my mother remarried a wonderful man named Jesse Hernandez, and she told him, "Hey, we're gonna go buy a house." And he said, "Wait a minute, a house? No, we can't afford it. You either go with me or I'm gonna go by myself. I'll take Rogelio, which is my oldest brother. I'll take him and we'll figure it out." So they end up going to East LA, and they fell in love with the house. My mother found the means to get the house, and guess what? The house still there. The house is still in existence in our family.
Our house is too.
Yeah, both. Yes. And you know what? It's about moms. Her mother, "I'm not gonna go to an apartment. I want a house." My mother, "I no longer want to rent and hide my children. They're my children. I want them to play." And they each got a house. Now that's my mom's story, and that's your mama's story.
That's right.
And your mama has a story too. Let me tell you, this lady becoming a wife and a mother. So we have the big fiesta, we have the big party, we get married. And I remember I had to sell my Mustang. I wanted to impress her, and Mustang T-tops and everything. And I sold it because I wanted to get married. My brother Raul says, "Hey Frank, you sold your car. What now?" And I said, "I don't know." He says, "Here you go." And he gave me an old Datsun. Thank you, Raul. Thank you for that. Thank you for the backup. So we get married, and we have a big fiesta. And they said, someone said, "Let's go to Adela's house," which is her sister. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adela. We go to her house, and we're partying, and we're talking, and having a good time. And finally, Adela says, "Well, why don't you stay here for tonight?" And I'm like, "Thank goodness. We don't have a place to go. We don't have anywhere to go." So we stayed there, and we slept the night. Yeah. And then the next morning, her parents said, "Why don't you come over for breakfast?" I'm like, "Okay." And we're all sitting, them two and us two, and they were just eating, and I'm eating slowly because I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And finally, her father...
I remember the story. Let me remind you.
Yeah.
It was after our honeymoon. We went to Ensenada for a week.
Is that
and
right?
it was on our way back that we sat to have breakfast with them. And that's when we're like, "Oh, shoot. We're back from the honeymoon. We were okay then. But coming back is like, where do we go from here?"
And that's a whole story, because the car made it over there, barely made it back. Anyway, so we're sitting at the table, and my father-in-law finally cleans his throat. And "Where are you going to go?" And we both looked at each other. Her eyes get big. It's like, "What? That's right. Where are we going to go?" And "Oh, well, we're thinking." And he says, "Well, why don't you stay here? We have the apartment in the back." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'll work." Yeah. So we're like, "Okay, that's a good idea." So we ended up living with them for a few years. Finally, we bought our house, and we bought our house
for 9 years.
Well, you didn't have to tell him it was that long.
Well,
but okay, it was for 9 years. And her mother, talking about Mother's Day, talking about mothers, her mother was our main support for us both getting a degree in education. She helped with the children, she helped with the food, she helped with everything. Yes, and I'm always going to be grateful to my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. I'm always going to be grateful to them, because if it wasn't for them, maybe neither one of us would have made it. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she says, "Well, I want a nice neighborhood. I want my kids to be able to go outside and not have to worry about or gangs or drugs. I want them to be living in a beautiful place." And I said, "Yeah, we can do that, as long as we have a big yard for them, because I want them to run around, and I want to set a swing set and their clubhouse, and I want them to just have a whole bunch of fun." And we bought it, a beautiful home, and we still have it. We made it to our liking. It's nice and big and beautiful, and we still have our home. And I think our mothers were great examples They got a home. We got my mother got a home. Her mother got a home, and we got a home. So they were very good examples. Now the way this little lady became a mother, so we get pregnant, right? And Frank Adam, our first child, our firstborn, we went to the Lamaze class. I don't think they were, because you're supposed to breathe in a certain way. And I'm supposed to remind her, but man, when it comes down to it, everything goes out the window. And we're all waiting patiently, and I would reach to the stomach and rub it and kiss it. Yeah. And then finally one day she says, "Hey Frank, I think the baby's here." And I'm like all over the place. "Oh my God, yes, the baby's here." So I go and get the bag and the shoes and everything that we have planned. I said, "Let's go." And she goes, "No, let's go." "What do you mean, no, let's go? The baby's here, you said." And she says, "Yeah, but I first got to take a shower." And I'm like, "Okay, then take a shower. Hurry. So she takes a shower. She fluffs her hair and everything. I go, "Okay, let's go." And I'm not in a very good mood now, because the baby's coming. She says, "No, wait, I got to paint my nails and my toenails too." And I'm like, "Oh," I get very frustrated. Finally, we leave, and I'm not happy. I'm like, "Why did she take so long?" Finally, we get to Kaiser, and we drive in, and I asked the nurse, "Can you please see my wife? She says the baby's coming." The nurse checks her, and she says, "Oh my God, the baby's almost here." And I'm like, "Oh, I told you." And we're all lovey-dovey. They put in I don't know, a table with wheels. I don't know what that's called. Yeah, and I'm holding her, and she's holding my hand, and she's all lovey-dovey. She goes, "I love you," and like, "Thank you for the baby," and everything's perfect. And I think the guy that wrote The Exorcist probably got an idea through having his wife have a baby, because everything was fine, everything was perfect. Now all of a sudden, pain or whatever happens, and I'm screaming and like, "Oh, come on, Pat, relax." And finally she lets go, and she goes, "Oh, I love you." Liar. Take her. Anyway, here it comes. Finally the baby comes out, and life is no longer the way we knew it. I remember cutting the umbilical cord, and the first thing they do is put the baby on her chest. And to see that sight, to feel it, to see her go through all that pain, I wanted to go through the pain, because the way she went through her pain, it was just so like, oh my God, and there's nothing I can do. Finally, they put the baby there, and it's a sight that could never be forgotten.
It's like everything stops. Like, it's just like everything just pauses. Like, oh my God, he's finally here. And yes, so going back to that, becoming a mother it's such a beautiful experience, because I knew when I was pregnant. I was telling Frank, I know I'm pregnant. He's like, "What do you mean?" Because I love. Everybody knows that I love eating, and so when I was started eating, it's like, oh my God, this is not feeling good in my stomach. So I knew the moment that I was pregnant. I already knew, and from then on, as a woman that we are, we experience just the being, knowing that we have a being that's that's developing in us, and eventually we're going to give birth to. It's just from there on, like, our motherhood begins, and I just remember being pregnant from all three of my kids. I thank my kids for allowing me to become a mother. Adam, my first child, 21 months later, Nicolas. And then 7 years later from Nicolas, Paola came along. So all three of my pregnancies were wonderful. And I was just so blessed. I am very blessed with the kids I have, and thanks to them when I became a mother. And being a mother, it's just something that's it's natural. It's just we have the natural instincts. We can feel or know when they're sick. We feel what their needs are. And in the middle of the night is how they say, how do you know that your child woke up? It's just a motherly thing that you'd feel it, and oh, he needs me, he's up or whatever, to feed him or whatever it might be. So it's just something that comes naturally. And as a mother, we have from my mom a great role model, from my mother-in-law another great role model, and so we learn to be mothers from what we see, and then from a role model, and also from instinct. It just comes naturally.
It kicks in.
Yes, it kicks in. And so I'm so blessed and fortunate to know that I have to become a mother, because I know there's a lot of women out there that, unfortunately they don't have the blessing of being a mom. And so I'm so blessed and thankful to God for
And
that.
I want to say that some people talk about their mother-in-laws like, oh, she's this, she's that, and I think they forget to be grateful for that lady they may happen not to like. However, they forget to be grateful, because if it wasn't for that lady that had that person that you now hold as a wife or as a husband, they wouldn't be here. So all those people that don't talk good about their in-laws, their mother-in-laws or their father-in-laws, I think before you go there, rethink about gratitude, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be holding that special human being. I know that I love my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. They were an extension of my parents. I didn't have my birth father. I did have Don Jesse, which was my stepfather. Very excellent man, nothing to say. However, when I married, we were both 24. We were little babies, and her mother and her father took us in, and I finished learning a lot through my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. And my mother, she loved Paula.
Yes, my mother-in-law, I can say that, like, she was the best mother-in-law. Like Frank says, a lot of, we had that bad image that, oh, my mother-in-law, she's this and she's that, and she interfered with my relationship and stuff. I can honestly say that I always told her, and I was always very grateful to her, and I told her, thank you for allowing me, for you giving birth to this man. Because of that, he's my partner now, and I always thank her for that. And I was very grateful always to her. And we never had like an argument. We never like stopped talking to each other. We were always very good with each other, and I always respected her just like as she was my mother, because she was my mother-in-law. And then I come and I hug her and I kiss her just like my mother. And that's why I was her favorite. The other ones don't know, but I was always her favorite. But I did love her and respect her just as much as I did my mother.
So now back to your mama. Go and thank her and love her, and just for being alive. And if she took care of you, and if she was there for your report cards, and if she was there to watch your first steps, man, you can't go wrong. I mean, like I said at the beginning, growing up, I would hear kids complain, too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny, doesn't speak this, doesn't speak that, doesn't understand this. But you know what? She did understand, and she did have, without a shadow of a doubt, love for you. Your mama loves you. Your mama would do anything for you. It's proven. I can probably estimate that there's 98% of all human beings on this planet were raised by a lady, by a mama. Your mama, my mama, her mama. They raised us. Very few instances where the fathers raised them completely on their own. Very few. Usually, it's easy to say, well, let's split, keep the kids, I'll send you the check. Anyone can do that. I'll send you the check. But you know what? To be there with a kid when he cries, when he's learning, when he can't do his homework, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, the papa, it's easy. Well, I send you the money. It's not just that. It's being there with the kid, and it's usually mothers that do that. So thank you, moms from around the world. Yes. Her being a teacher and me being a teacher, I'll tell you what, many times when we have to call home, the mothers will be on top of the list, then second fathers. Why? Because mothers will always make it happen. They will do anything to see it through. And so today's about your mom. Go out there, hug her, kiss her, thank her. And if you don't find anything to be grateful for because she's this, she's that, you know what? She had you. She gave you the opportunity to come and see this beautiful planet and do something with yourself. So thank you, grandmas, moms, and moms-to-be. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Patsy, for being a great mother to the kids. Thank you for your mom, and it's been awesome. What else do you want to share? Because I'm about to close.
I want to, my hats off to all those single moms that not only do they take on the motherly role, but they also take on the father's role. And so my hats to you ladies, because I actually do have one of my sisters, pretty much she did that. And my hats goes off to her, Lourdes. And also my sisters, they're all wonderful mothers. My sister-in-law, all wonderful mothers. So, and that has to do, I think, with our growing up, because our mothers were wonderful mothers, and the bringing that we had, the unity in the family, like Frank said. I want a day. I want a day in the week, for the family. And it's very important to keep the family united, dinners together, going out to the park for walks, movies. Up until now, because I had that unity with my family, I have it at home with my kids. We have dinners together, we go out, and share time, either at the beach, here, there, dinners and stuff. So it's wonderful. And you mothers, in Spanish hay un dicho que dice, la mujer hace el hogar. The woman is the one that makes the home a home. The house a home. So, and it has to do with the values that we were brought up with. And, please continue to pass on those values of respect, unity, peace within the house. And more than anything, love. Love your children, love your home. Make it a welcoming, and your husband, of course. Make it a welcome, a place where they feel safe and they want to be there. And sometimes we're not a perfect family. We may have our little arguments here and there. However, at the end of everything,
we're the only ones.
Okay.
We're the only ones that have arguments and
we're the only
disagreements.
ones. At the end of everything, it's all about love. It's all about peace, and it's all about family. And us moms are the ones that do that. They bring the family together. And please continue to pass on those values. They're very important. And I want to say Happy Mother's Day to my wonderful sisters, all my sisters-in-law, especially my mother and my mother-in-law up in heaven, who are our little angels. Love you all.
And I want to say it's got to be an instinct that's in the female, because when my father passed, I remember my sister Esther playing the role of mother. She's only a few years away from, not even that many years. And I remember I can see her as my mother. Now we're all grown up, and if she still calls my attention, I still respond. Okay, got it. And it's got to be an instinct that's put in the female. It's got to be, because she would feed us, she would wash for us, she would clean, she would take care of us. I bet she had a hard time picking us up, because she was just a little girl. But it's an instinct. Also, what about that book? Remember? I think we should recommend that book.
Oh,
I Love You for Always.
Every time I read it, and that's actually like it. What is the word?
It gives a good representation of
yes,
what a mother is.
All the stages of being a mother when you have your child, growing up with your child, the stages of you aging throughout your motherhood, and at the end there's a little part that, oh my God, every time I read that story, pretty much I read it, in that school, my eyes get all teared up, and the last part, it really touches me, because it actually already happened to me, where she grew old. The lady.
Well, it hasn't happened. You're very young and beautiful.
Well, I'm still young. However, my son is 6'3", and it actually 6'2".
Okay.
It already happened where he actually did pick me up, and he was playing around, but he did pick me up, and I remember that story, and I couldn't stop crying at the moment he did that. So it was very touching. Every time I say it, I bring it up. It just gives me the. Like, wow, being a mother is priceless. It's priceless. So.
And I want to tell you the story of that book. It's called I Love You for Always. That I remember we get books as teachers. When I was a teacher back then, I had my library, and I called the kids to read them a book, and I just picked that one up. I had not previously read it. And I remember calling them, and I started reading it. And Max, which wasn't in the best in behaving, sorry, Max. I started reading, and all of a sudden the children are catching on to what the story's about, and Max, like past mid-book, he starts crying, and the kids raise their hand. Mr. Iniguez, Max is crying. I go, it's okay if you cry, Max. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this is an intense book. And it does take you from here to here, and the goodbye, and it's a very intense book. So if you've never read it, go get it. It's called I Love You for Always. And while we were talking, mother, I just wrote acronyms for mother. Mother,
wow.
Marvelous, outstanding, tough, helper, energetic, forever, and respectful. Mother. Wow. So there you have it.
Beautiful.
We're gonna call it at that, unless you want to say anything. I know, but do you have anything else to say?
No, just pretty much mothers, enjoy your day. Very well, very, very well deserved. And not only on Mother's Day,
Always.
every day we are a mother every day. So we need to celebrate every day our being a mother, our motherhood. And we are very, very, very blessed to have been given that name, that title of a mother, and to have lived the experience. So mothers, you mothers are
great. Right. So let me tell you, we're gonna call it at that. However, I want to say thank you to all the mothers around the world that are supporting our channel. It continues to grow, and we bring different topics: finances, health, better relationships. And today it was mothers, and I want to thank you for watching our channel and continue to support us. We'll continue to be here. Very well. Till next time, your friend, the ambassador of reading, Frank Iñiguez, wishing you well today and always, knowing that you will find and get what you are looking for. Thank you for watching our channel, and congratulations for making it here, where we give information that benefits the individual that's watching and their loved ones. I invite you to subscribe and be part of our channel, set the notifications, and watch the new videos. Thank you and welcome.